Conscious Broadcasting Network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio. The voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Welcome to tonight's show. This is your host, Shay Parker, and I want to welcome everybody to our show this evening, Best of the Best. This is actually our debut here on OMTimes, and we're very, very, very happy to be on this wonderfully shining new network, and super excited. I have to say, I have to give a shout out to Chris and Liani and Elizabeth and all the folks that helped us get this show up and running, because OMTimes is the people that stand behind OMTimes are very, very near and dear to my heart, and I love them dearly. So I just want to give a big shout out. And of course, Elizabeth, we couldn't make this show possible without you. So thank you to all of you, and we're going to get rocking and rolling here with our first debut show. Now, out there, everybody out there listening, let me tell you a little bit about Best of the Best. All right, so who I am is Shay Parker, and I actually am the founder of Best American Psychics and Best American Healers, as well as the CertifiedPsychicSociety.org. Now, what does this mean to everybody out there listening? What this means is basically I am super steeped in the metaphysical world every single day. So basically we're here to help share spiritual talk with you guys. And a really cool thing about this show that we're going to do is I'm going to bring on guest hosts that will pop in and out, weekly hosts. And then, of course, I'll be with you guys as well here and there. But what I want to do is really introduce you this evening to one of our guest hosts who is going to be with us the second Tuesday of every month at this time. At this time slot. So basically, we're going to have the first Tuesday, second Tuesday, third Tuesday, fourth Tuesday, and then a random, fifth Tuesday. And this particular slot will go to my guest here this evening, who I am going to introduce. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Colby, and she is the Psychic Rebel. She can be found at psychicrebel.com. And the really cool thing about Colby is she is a real-world psychic medium. Colby, I've met her. I love her to death. But I'm telling you guys, she is outside the stereotype. You're not going to look at Colby and see, someone wearing a bunch of purple and this airy-fairy psychic. I mean, you're going to get it rock solid, hardcore, straight up. It's like ordering a drink straight up. That's how you're going to get it with Colby. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on the show here, and we'll dive a little more into the world of Colby-Psychic Rebel. So Colby, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shay. Hi. Thank you so much.
You are quite welcome. We're very, very happy to have you on the first show, the debut show. How cool is that? So
I know. I can't believe it. It's so exciting to be here.
It really is. It's fantastic. So what we're going to do, folks, is Colby is going to actually be hosting, she goes by, of course, Psychic Rebel. So she's going to be hosting REBELations. How cool is that? Every second Tuesday of the month. So, Colby, before we start talking about the show itself and what our listeners can expect, I want to talk about you, because the most important thing here is to get to know you before we get to know the show. So I know you, and I know you're definitely a rebel and a trailblazer, and I know that you've also trained extensively in your psychic mediumship work. And folks out there listening, if you're not familiar with what a psychic medium is, a psychic medium has the ability to connect you to departed loved ones on the other side. It is different from a psychic. A psychic does everyday messages like career, love, money, relationships, finance, and a psychic medium takes it in a little different direction with connecting you directly to loved ones. But oftentimes, psychic mediums actually can bring both forward. So, Colby, tell us a little bit about how you got into this. I mean, how do you go from... I know you were like an accountant, and how do you go into becoming a psychic medium?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's just one of those things. I definitely was born with this gift, as some would call it. But I really didn't realize that not everybody was born a medium. I really didn't understand that. So I really went through most of my life just thinking everybody was seeing spirit, hearing spirit, and having a whole other conversation inside their head. And as a result, I really became a tax manager. I was a tax manager for 13 years at a CPA firm. So, but a few years ago, gosh, I think back in 2007 now, I was really trying to finish the CPA exam. I was super close. I mean, almost at the very end. But the voices inside really wanted me to honor spirit, really wanted me to work with spirit. And I thought, are you crazy? Like, this is crazy. You know how hard I've worked to be a CPA.
Kidding. Yeah.
And it was the night before the exam, the night before the very last one. I had passed, there were 4 parts at this time when I was taking it. I had passed 3 of the 4 parts, and it goes on a timer. So you have to kind of pass all 4 parts within a time frame. So I had 3 down, my very last one. And the night before the exam, I literally prayed. I said, listen, Spirit, please let me pass this. Just let me have this. I promise you I'll serve. And I took the exam. The results came back, and I failed by a few points. And I heard, you cannot negotiate this.
Yeah, it's not up to you.
And the very next day, I did my first professional reading. And that was it. I have had clients ever since. And to be honest, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that Spirit was so persistent, because I really thought for a long time that this wasn't something I needed to do. And I learned that it wasn't about me, that it's really about the connecting and the healing with the recipients, with the clients. Each and every spirit I bring through, or each and every message that Spirit gives me, brings us one step closer to being connected as one.
Yeah, well, so tell me a little bit about that journey. Like what, okay, you went through accounting and whatever happened, but where do you even begin to say, this is what I want to do with my professional career? I mean, where'd you go?
And it was one of those things where it wasn't, I didn't think, I never thought, I want to be a psychic medium. I want to do this with my career. That was never the thought. What the thought was Spirit saying, you're going to do this. And I'm saying, no, I'm not. And they're saying, yes, you are. And they won. So it's kind of like,
I think a lot of people won on that one.
And it's kind of like the marriage when the wife, has the final say, right?
Yeah.
And, but so it wasn't a logical decision on my part. It really, at no point was it, but yet, interesting enough, I'm so business oriented to a certain aspect of it. And I think that's why when I connect or I give readings, it's very down to earth. It's very direct, because I don't know another way. This is how I've always connected. And so I just do it this way.
Right. So, all right, you're a Jersey girl, and then you decide to. You didn't really decide. You were kind of, this is what it was going to be, but yet you have gone on to study under some of the most profound teachers out there in the world of psychic mediumship. So, can you elaborate a little bit on what led you down that path?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened is I thought, if I'm going to do this, if Spirit's guiding me to do this, then I took the ethics side of it very, very seriously. I wanted to be very professional. I wanted to be trained just for that validation, so that people could trust me, know that I'm serious about what I'm doing. And then so it led me to Lisa Williams at first, which was great. I think with each person I studied with, I kept waiting for them to say, "Oh, yeah, honey, this isn't right for you."
Right, sure.
It didn't really work out that way, which I'm so blessed. I'm very, very blessed. But with each step, I want to keep growing because this is a muscle. It's definitely kind of a muscle that we can expand and we can grow and we can build it. And with each building block, it allows me to have a stronger connection with the client.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I totally respect that. I mean, we've talked about this in classes and stuff like that at the folks out there listening. We have an annual spirit retreat through Best American Psychics, and Colby did attend this past year, and we had a whole discussion about this, about training and about ethics and such. And so it is, I mean, it's a critical part of this business because like Colby just said, we want to put our best and most ethical and professional foot forward, especially when people are trusting these psychics with such intimate and precious details of their lives. So it's really, really important on that. But
with accounting, ethics is one of the hottest topics right now. The criteria and requirements for having ethical training is more stringent than it has ever been. And again, I think just through that training, it made me really want to bring that level of requirement into this work because I felt like anybody can put themselves out there as a psychic or a psychic medium or doing healing work. And I wanted to push it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hey folks, welcome back. This is Shay Parker, and you are listening to Best of the Best. My guest here this evening, actually on our very first debut show right here on OMTimes, is Colby-Psychic Rebel, and she can be found directly at psychicrebel.com. Now, before the break, we were getting to know Colby a little bit better because actually what I really want to do too this evening before our hour is up is cover the fact that Colby is going to be starting her own radio segment the second Tuesday of every month right here on Best of the Best. She is going to be guest hosting REBELations, and I'm super excited about this show, folks, because I really think it's going to be, she's going to have great guests, very interesting conversation, and I really can't wait to kind of delve into it. So, Colby, tell us a little bit about what you're planning with REBELations and where you'd like to see it go.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. I can't begin to tell you. I love interviewing people, talking to people, and really in real life, because so much of the listeners, they're in the real world, right? They're in a job that they may not love, or they may have lost a parent or a loved one that they're really just missing every day. And I feel like when I just talk about real issues, real life, real sense of grief, then it allows that healing to really step up. It allows the person to really kind of say, oh yeah, I'm not alone. It reminds us that we're not alone. So my plans for the show are to find some interesting people. And even if we're talking about other realms, talk about it in a very realistic way that the average listener can grasp the concepts of it and walk away with a better understanding.
Right, exactly. Well, and I love that you said that about, kind of the average person, or perhaps even the skeptical mind. I mean, and let's face it, there's a lot of people out there who maybe haven't delved into the esoteric world. And it's not that they're against it or anything, but they're just not familiar with it. So, I really like the way that you package bringing the information to people in more sort of layman's terms, but not to the point of, it's not like, we think they're ignorant or anything like that, but just it's a more simplistic, sort of less airy-fairy, way of presenting it. And I know that's an important theme with you throughout.
Yeah,
what you
it definitely
do.
is.
Yeah. Now, was that one of the things that when you got into this, were you reticent about that? Like, were you thinking, I am not one of these, sitting on the street corner with a crystal ball type of people? I mean, did that kind of turn you off, or?
Well, it made me really not realize that I have a gift just as much as someone who may be using a crystal ball or doing chakra healing or connecting to angels. My connection is just as strong, but I couldn't relate to other light workers because I didn't have the same experiences that they were having. Mm-hmm. And so it took a while for me to realize that Spirit wants me to work this way. And I was so resistant. Again, I came from kind of a corporate America environment, and it took a while for me to kind of release my own reservations about what people would think of me. Oh my goodness, people are going to think I'm crazy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, actually, now I don't even think about it. Now it's like, I've always trusted Spirit. I think that's the one thing that's always held it together. I have never, ever doubted my personal connection to Spirit, to the other side. And I've always been fearless in communicating what Spirit is giving me. And it's through, I believe, that trusting that has really opened up the doors for a lot of people who say, yeah, maybe I have this gift too, or I know how this connection is working.
Well, now, I find that fascinating because I've actually interviewed, hundreds of people over the years, and a lot of psychics say that when they were younger and they were getting these messages and such, they really felt like they were crazy. And so you never, but maybe I misunderstood what you. So you said you always trusted what you got from Spirit. So, but did you also experience those feelings like you were maybe crazy, or did you just know that?
No, I always knew. I mean, I always knew. I think my family and friends thought I was a little crazy because I was always reacting off of feelings from someone rather than what they were saying. So,
yeah.
It's things like that. But it was when I really decided to do this work full time, it honestly was because the connection was so strong. I thought, I'm honestly going to have a nervous breakdown if I don't figure out how to just surrender to this. So it was really surrendering to the trust of doing it full time, because I didn't want to go out to the world and say, yeah, a tax manager, think about it. It's respected. Oh, wow. It's never controversial ever. I mean,
no, that's true. There's no taboo in being
yeah, it's just, so I felt safe in that environment. I felt safe in that kind of quote unquote career, talking about it at a party. Mm-hmm. And initially when I started to enter to really do this work for the sake of spirit, it was a little nerve-wracking to put myself out there in this way for judgment, so to speak. And now I don't care. Now I'm just like, oh, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Well, so what advice would you give to someone out there who, may be a younger person, but is going through a lot of the same experiences of knowing that they have some type of a connection that clearly the average person out there is not experiencing? I mean, what would you say to them?
Well, I think the key is telling the person who is not sure whether or not they have something special. They may not know. Mm-hmm. They just know that they get a feeling, or they get emotional around certain people, or they can pick up on someone, or they may have a little flash or something, but they're not exactly sure what that means. They're not sure how to put that together. And I want to encourage them to study. I want to encourage them to get themselves in a class, be with other people who are still practicing. I mean, I love the fact that I have studied with other light workers. And so what if they do chakras or healing or angels or tarot? It does not matter to me, because what is exciting about it is that we are all light workers. We're all working for the highest good. We're just working differently. And the things I've learned from other light workers in a circle have really allowed me to be more embracing of the way other people work. So my advice to someone who's trying to say, do I have this? Is there something here? What's going on? Is to say to them, go study, go get in a circle or something so that you're around other people that speak the same language as you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great advice on that. And I'm going to add here, folks out there listening. And by the way, if you're just tuning in tonight to our debut show, I want to recap kind of what's going on. I'm Shay Parker, and I'm interviewing Colby-Psychic Rebel. She can be found at psychicrebel.com. She is an international psychic medium. And in speaking about classes, I do want to plug a couple of classes here, actually, that you teach, Colby. If those of you are out there listening, just go to psychicrebel.com and you can see at the very top, it's the fourth link over. Colby's got a classes, navigational tab there. So we've got Colby's Spiritual Coaching Circle. You do the spiritual service, excuse me, with the Lisa Williams School, and of course this is in the LA area, folks. And then we've got the spiritual training, Colby's Spiritual Coaching Circle as well. So lots of stuff on there, connecting to intuition. So if you guys are in the LA area and you want to go check this out, I highly recommend that you go sit in with Colby. You guys can learn a tremendous amount, get to know her, and I'm sure if you join that nifty, join the Rebel, join the pack, subscribe to her mailing list. I know for a fact that you're going to get a free gift if you decide to join that mailing list there, folks. So definitely check Colby out, because what I'd really like to encourage our listeners to do, and granted this is our first show, but Colby's going to be a regular guest with us right here every second Tuesday of the month. And what I want to encourage my listeners, if you guys have come over from other radio stations that I've been with or whatever, and you're here now with us at OMTimes, please go check out and really learn these new hosts and follow them, because guys, they're chosen for a reason, and they really do have very critical information to bring to you, and not to mention it's fun. So, definitely join in. And again, you can check out Colby on psychicrebel.com for those listening. Now, we've got to go to another break here in just a couple of minutes. But Colby, in the meantime, is there any, I know you've got a couple of events coming up. Let's see here.
Yeah, so I do. Well, for the classes, I do teach this circle, and it's for all levels.
Yeah.
Someone will say, well, I've only taken a class, or I'm not really sure, and I'm kind of just throw you in the deep end kind of a teacher. But because I feel like it's just a wonderful way to just get in there and get you to surrender as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. Because the quicker you can surrender, the quicker you can trust. And that combination is beautiful, because then you really start to honor the connection you have, which really opens up your gift so much more. So I do that, and I'm actually gonna teach a class, a workshop for working professionals.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to teach a class where it gives them a little bit of ins and outs, a little bit of the business side of things I know, the kind of expenses we can write off, and how to kind of go about being responsible about our bookkeeping, and little fun stuff like that too. So there's a lot of kind of diversity in what I'm teaching.
Yeah, and I love that, because, I come across so many that are in the metaphysical world, and they're great at being a psychic medium, or they're great at, doing the more,
creative,
right brain things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to managing their books, or, gee, I actually have to pay taxes, or, it's a whole world that's a little scary. So, especially for those that are self-employed, it can really be a frightening thing. So, well, folks, we are going to talk a little bit more with Colby when we come back from break, but in the meantime, I do encourage you to check out her website. Again, I'll give you the link. It is psychicrebel.com. Go check it out. She's got all sorts of great stuff on there, and we're going to talk more with Colby. Psychic Rebel.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe, The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
that they have so lovely, so generously set up for us. So if you are, we don't really care how you're listening as long as you are, and we thank you for doing so. Folks, my guest tonight is the amazing Colby-Psychic Rebel. She can be found at psychicrebel.com. Very simple. And we've been talking tonight to Colby about all sorts of great stuff. Her upcoming show right here on this very network. She will be here the second Tuesday of every month right here on Best of the Best. She will be hosting REBELations, and you can check out our show page for that, folks. Just go to OMTimes.com and then check out the Best of the Best. I'm sorry. I'm talking faster than my brain is processing faster than my tongue can move. So check out our Best of the Best show page, and you'll see the info about Colby's show. So before the break, we were talking to Colby about the classes and courses that she has, and I want to delve into that a little bit more. And Colby, I want you to kind of say in your own words how this can help affect people, and then we're also going to talk about psychic readings themselves and the changes that you've seen in people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel that it really can help people when you connect to a loved one for someone, and give that validation of their continued existence. You would be surprised at how much healing that gives, because people, they get so focused on the physical realm that they forget that there's a whole nother fourth dimension. There's a whole nother fourth realm out there. And just kind of making that real for them. Like, hey, your loved one is not gone. And in fact, they keep showing me this for you, or they want to tell me about this, or show me a memory. And if I've never met that person and I can bring up this memory, that just speaks volumes. It gives them such reassurance that, oh my goodness, like, wow, like, I'm not without my mom or my partner or my best friend or whomever it may be.
Exactly. And folks, that is actually called evidential mediumship, what Colby was just referring to. If you ever hear someone out there say that they're an evidential medium or psychic medium, which is what Colby is, that is very specific information, like Colby just referenced. She can bring up a memory. And now, obviously, she wouldn't be able to do that. It's very different from just kind of, there's a lot of people that say, oh, psychics and mediums are frauds because they just bring up, oh, we had a hard childhood, or sometimes you have money problems. I mean, it's kind of like, who doesn't, But if someone like Colby can go into a definitive, specific, evidential, experience that you had with a person that there is no way in the world she could know, then you've got the real deal there. So,
yeah, one of my favorite things too is to really try to bring forward the personality of the person in spirit. It's really fun. People love to share their personality a lot, and I allow myself to try to be as open as I can to just bring forward maybe the way they would tell a joke, or, what their demeanor would have been like, because that also is evidence within itself for someone.
Yeah. Now, can you elaborate on that for our listeners? Because I'm sure there's many out there who have never had a reading before, or, certainly have not spoken with a psychic medium who was able to bring through someone like that. So when you say you can bring through personalities, can you explain to us, in your perception, sort of what happens when people go to the other side? Like, in other words, how much they change or do not change, or...
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel that, and again, a lot of different workers may have different opinions on this, but through my experience, it's when someone crosses from the physical realm to the non-physical realm and they connect with me, they're still going to show me who they were in the earth plane. Because God knows, if you had an abusive father or it's someone who wasn't very nice, and I'm telling you that the jolliest person on the planet, you're never going to connect. You're going to say, no, I don't even know who that is.
Right.
So they still show me who they were. Look, this is who I was. This is what I was like. Or this was my outlook on life, whatever the case may be. But so we still have that evidence within itself. Like, this is who I was in the physical realm. But when a person crosses, they also grow spiritually. Their soul learns lessons. Mm-hmm. So they may show me who they were or give me who they were in the physical, but they're also going to show how they progress. And maybe that's where that healing message comes in. Hey, yes, I could have made better choices, and I just want to apologize to you. And this is what I want to say. If that's the case, I mean, not all of them, they'll kind of learn their lessons at different rates. But so they do show you who they were or what they were like, or perhaps memories or definitely some evidence. But then they also want to share with me how they're growing and what they're learning. Because just as much as life is a lesson, life lessons, there are spirit lessons as well.
Yeah, and I think that is something that a lot of people perhaps don't understand, or maybe even just haven't considered. Like my own personal story, I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, and I have nothing against, the way I was raised at all. In fact, I'm glad for the way that I was raised, because, I learned a lot, and I have nothing bad to say here about any religion or whatever, but I will say that since coming into my adulthood, and especially after doing a lot of this type of work, now I am not a psychic, I am not a medium, I'm not any of those things, but I have interviewed and I have worked with so many of you that I myself cannot deny that. I mean, this is real. It's absolutely real, and it's unexplainable if it were not real. Like, how would you know a perfect stranger that you've never even met across the world's grandfather? I mean, there's no way that you would know that. So
yeah, it is. I mean, I love to be surprised.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just, they'll give me something random and it doesn't feel like it makes a whole lot of sense to me, but I'm just going to give it.
Yeah.
And the other night there was a young man who crossed, and I said, he keeps showing me a baseball and he keeps saying this baseball is significant. And she's like, yeah, she goes, he played baseball. And I said, well, he's connecting it to a photograph, saying the photo is significant with the baseball. And the lady was like, oh my goodness, my mom has a picture of him in his little baseball uniform that is right next to her bed. And, that's evidence that the spirit is in that space, that the spirit knows about that and is saying, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
So...
And how on earth would you know that? I mean, there's no way that you would know that.
Yeah, and so for me, it's, and it's wonderful because it's not just me. It is spirit.
Right.
It's me, but it's also the recipient. It's also the client, because when the client can connect those dots, she knew right away when I was talking about baseball and I was talking about the picture. She knew right away what I was talking about. And it makes it's so amazing. That connection in that moment between the three of us is one of the most astounding feelings you can ever imagine. It's so it's such a high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine it would be. Now, so we've got about 5 minutes or so until our next break, but can you tell the listeners out there, and we can go past break with this if we need to and talk about it when we come back too, but can you tell the listeners out there what they should expect or sort of look out for when they're getting a psychic reading? And I'm not saying specifically with you, it could be with anybody, but what sort of guidelines they should go by?
Yeah, it's hard because, different people work differently. So what can they expect? It can be a little different, but hopefully if it's a psychic reading, that's a soul to soul connection. My soul is going to connect to your soul, and hopefully I'm going to give evidence about the past because you know what happened. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about the present because that's probably what you want to talk about, and give guidance on the future. And in that aspect, we're going to hopefully go into different areas of your life, because who doesn't want to kind of know about their career or their relationships or have some guidance just on a personal level. So a psychic reading is connecting to that energy, connecting to the soul energy of a person and helping to guide them. And I feel like when a person gets a reading, it is about the recipient being open to the information, because sometimes you may hear something you may not want to hear, or it's going in a different direction. But I think more importantly, it's so important for the client to really research the person they're going to get the reading from. Make sure that they're accredited. I think certified is very important. And there are definitely people that would disagree with me saying it's a natural gift. And it sure is. But when I can be blindfolded and have someone in front of me and be able to connect, that to me is a level of verifying, hey, wait a second, this person was blindfolded. It's a blind review of the work, and there's a lot of people out there who train hard, and we do that so that you can trust us. There's a bunch of us out there. So I feel like look for that person who does have some training behind them, who does have the experience behind them, because I feel like with anything, there's a good chance you may get a better result because of it.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, my recommendation to anyone out there listening is, listen, to me as a consumer, I am going to feel more comfortable spending my money and just placing my trust level in someone who has invested their own money and their own time and their own effort and their own energy in being the best that they can be at what they're doing, regardless of whether they were born with it or whatever. I mean, listen, Mozart was born a genius. He was composing concertos at the age of 3, but he still went to music lessons, even though he was probably far more advanced than the people that were teaching. But, these people with amazing voices, they go to voice coaches. So it's just a way of saying, hey, I am here and I'm truly committed to this in a way that is, I'm going to be the best I can possibly be at it without. And I really like it too, because you're saying that you're not 1,000% perfect and above everybody else. I mean, you're still learning. You're still covering your bases of making sure that you're putting your best foot forward in all ways. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I'm doing it in an ethical.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of the Inspired Parenting radio show, where every week we bring you empowering information from the diverse fields of conscious parenting, education, neuroscience, consciousness, health, and metaphysics to support you in nurturing the best in your children. So if you're interested in understanding what shapes your children's minds, spirits, and hearts, join me every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and prepare to be inspired.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
You are listening tonight to Best of the Best, and my guest tonight is Colby-Psychic Rebel. She can be found at psychicrebel.com. And before the break, and that was totally my bad on the break, I was just talking away and we went to break. Anyway, sorry listeners, I was engaged in my blabbing. So, but here's the thing. I was excited because we were talking about training within the psychic mediumship or psychic field, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I do get really excited about it because I think that it is so critically important that that anybody, regardless of what your profession is, seek further training and, really do try to be the best that you can be. So Colby, we were talking a little bit about that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that note?
No, just that I just think it's important for people to work on their gift. It is like a muscle. It's like everything, right? You're born with a muscle, but if you go to the gym and lift some weights or you take some yoga, you're going to strengthen those muscles. So it's really, I'm a big believer in always trying to improve your vessel. Yes. So whether that's your physical vessel, your spiritual vessel, your mental vessel, just keep working on it. Very, very sage advice, folks. You heard it here. That's some free advice for you.
That's right. Now, real quick, I know this is our very last segment of the show. Yeah. But what I'd like you to do, though, is talk to our listeners a little bit about things that they definitely should perhaps avoid when they are getting psychic readings or psychic mediumship readings, like just sort of some no-nos. And I'll give an example, like don't feed the psychic. In other words, if they're calling someone to get a reading and then they start telling them their whole life story, that would be a thing that we would probably advise that they not.
Yeah, but it's a combination because any really psychic would say, hey, don't give me too much. That's okay. Right. I'm okay. But at the same time, you still want the person to give validation, because one of my other personal pet peeves, and so when I do a reading myself, I allow it to be interactive in a way that if a client has a question, if I'm talking about something and it creates a question, right, I don't make them wait to the end. If you have a question, just ask. It's not going to break my connection, and I'd rather do that than you forget it. And because I used to get readings and they would be like, no, don't say anything. Yes or no. And it wasn't exactly right. And,
right.
So I do appreciate a little validation, but I'll make sure I say it in such a way that it's clearly that I have the evidence there and you're giving me a yes or no. And if you want to give a little validation, but you're right, not the full story. But I think trying to find someone with a good reputation, and, I also feel that not getting a reading in a panic mode, right? It's, give yourself, like, I just don't do same day sessions, and I have a lot of friends that are telling me I should, but I want 24 hours, give yourself, this way I know when you set the session, your intention is set, you're going to stabilize by then. This way, your system isn't in a panic mode. I also think it's really important for the client to be open to the information, because again, you may be hearing something in a way that you haven't heard it before, or it's something that's a little new, and you want to be open to how that information is being presented to you. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to allow a client to record a session. I'm not ashamed of anything I say. I think it's great for a client to be able to play it back and listen to it, especially if they're, looking to reconnect with that loved one and just want to hear that again, or, we're working on some spiritual development for them, some goals for themselves. It's nice to kind of go back and play that again. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the biggest things is, for a client not to fixate on what the outcome is going to be. You don't so many psychics, and but in general in life, we tend to be people pleasers, right? We want to give the person what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. You don't want to pay for a service in which you're just paying for someone to tell you what you want to hear.
To be placated, yeah.
Yeah, but again, through finding that person with a reputation, with some experience, look at testimonials. I think testimonials and reviews are great. They may not have 100% perfect reviews. That's just as important, right? Because it really shows you that they're human.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I think it is really great. And I think, again, just allowing that client you want to be able to ask questions. I think that's very important that, if I go to a doctor, the doctor better allow me to listen, doc, I've got this symptom, that symptom. And the doc says, well, I want you to kind of rest and ice it. I want to be able to say, well, wait a second, when can I expect some results, or how's this going to work? Is there anything more I can do? What if I'm still feeling pain? I want to be able to ask questions. And I feel that a client in a session should have an opportunity to ask questions as well.
Yeah. And that, actually that's a really good point, because sometimes, and you could actually clarify this even more than I, but when you are getting the information through, just to explain it to our listeners out there who, again, may not have any association with this, the way I like to sort of describe it just in layman's terms is it's kind of like a radio signal that's coming through. And, sometimes when you're driving through a town, you'll pick up a different radio signal. So you might need a little bit, you might need to turn this is in an old car, you might need to turn the dial like a little teeny bit more, to make it come in a little clearer. And that's oftentimes when I will hear a psychic say, does this make sense to you? Like, in other words, it's sort of like, okay, this is what I'm getting, but, people need to understand, listeners out there and people that are sitters for the psychic, they need to understand that you guys have a very tough job to do as a psychic, because you are interpreting the messages that are coming through. So I agree with you. I think questions are great, and I also think validation is great to let you know kind of that you're explaining it well or conveying it well,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just important that right, because we get the information and we're interpreting that information.
Right.
And I get it. I may hear something or see something or feel something, smell something, and it's tiny little bits and pieces, and I'm putting it together as fast as I can. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to say, am I putting this together right? Is what I'm getting, how I'm giving it to you, does that resonate with you? And that yes or no will allow me to kind of go back and say, okay, you know what? Let me go deeper with this. Let me pull out more information for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the important thing, is you need to be able to, if you know that you're explaining it to the point that they can understand it and it makes sense to them, because it is a tough job. You're interpreting what the guides, what Spirit is telling you, plus your human side of it, which your brain and everything is interpreting, and then you have to convey, often in a limited amount of time, what you're getting in order to best serve your client. So, yeah. I mean, these are really great tips, and folks out there listening, I really hope you take them to heart and mull them over, because I do think that you'll find that they will absolutely help. So. Well, Colby, we are coming down to the wire here. And again, folks, if you picked up half the show or you're just tuning in now, you can absolutely catch this show in the archived version on OMTimes.com. You can go to show, well, actually, if you're listening to this, you've already kind of found the show page. So just go to the archives. They will be up within the next few days. But I've been listening this evening. We have been speaking this evening to Colby-Psychic Rebel, and she can be found actually at psychicrebel.com. There's lots of different things on there. I would actually encourage you guys also to really read Colby's blog, because she has some absolutely outstanding things on there. You know, great tips and tricks and all sorts of great reads. So we are going to be wrapping here. Let's see. We still have, I don't know, about a minute or two. Just about a minute. So, Colby, is there anything that you want to close with or would like to share with our listening audience this evening?
Yeah, just I want to let everyone know that I am just so excited about this show. I cannot wait to connect to an audience and share with them fascinating people that I meet, or stories, or talk about topics that may be a little close to heart for them. You know, I'm just to kind of remind us that, you know, we all have bad days and we all have troubles and we all have relationship stuff, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to try to help give the listeners tools to help them better understand their own feelings, insights, emotions, goals, along with those of other people around them. And I just think it's going to help people, or at least I hope it does.
I have no doubt. And folks, again, that show is going to be right here on Best of the Best, Tuesday nights. It's actually going to be the second Tuesday of every month. Colby is going to be hosting REBELations because she is Colby-Psychic Rebel. So I really, really would encourage you guys to tune in there. And also, please don't forget to go to psychicrebel.com and really go on there, join Colby's newsletter, because she will be sending out regular updates as far as, like, you know, what her upcoming show is going to be covering and what she's going to be doing. She's also got, under her events page, she's got gift certificates. She's got all sorts of stuff on there that, you know, they make great gifts as well, and all sorts of good stuff on there that you can check out. So I want to thank everybody for listening to our debut show tonight, and again, thank the team at OMTimes. Thank you, Elizabeth, for doing all the backstage stuff. And thanks to all of our fans, and we hope to see you next week. And of course, thank you to our wonderful guest.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourselves and one another.